Want to refresh on what was talked about, make sure to catch it over on the YouTube. Greetings everybody, and welcome to the tier list update for 5.3, Hero of the Trojan War. As you can see, Achilles is a brand new god in the game. He's not going to be put onto the tier list just yet. He's going to stay unranked until he is available for competitive, or until he's at least been tried out in scrims a few times. So, it's going to be a short tier list update today. Very few balance changes actually happened. We do have some data finally coming in from the Smite minor league in the open brackets, as well as the final qualifications that happened yesterday on the Saturday and today on the Sunday for North America. We're going to be using that data. We're going to be using some scrim data as well to adjust this tier list. Hopefully have more of a nice bell curve to it. So, without further ado, let's get started. You're going to see a lot of the characters up here start to move down a bit. A few of the characters down here start to move up. All trying to center around this A tier right here. Naja is a big one. Personally, I think Naja still is a phenomenal god. I think that his kit, on paper, warrants him an S+ tier. But the data just has not backed that up. Very limited playtime. When he is played, on and off again, it's not that good in terms of its performance, doesn't really excel during the game, isn't the focal point of the game that it really should be. And as such, Naja will be moving down, and probably going to have the biggest move down of any god on this tier list. It's going to go all the way down to A+. I still think Naja has to be somewhere in the S region. We just haven't seen the data. The biggest position where we have seen Naja and the biggest position where we have seen Naja have his success is in the support role, rather than in the jungle. I think if teams start playing her in the jungle a bit more, start practicing with this setup style god with a mage in the mid lane like Scylla or Toth or Ra, you're going to start seeing Naja going back up again. But until that time, Naja just can't stay up in the upper echelons of the picks when the data doesn't back it up. Serket recently got a nerf. I'm going to do Serket moving along with Nemesis. Serket got nerfed, and Nemesis just becomes a lot better because of it. They're going to be switching themselves around. I think Nemesis right now is probably the strongest jungler you can pick. Undodgeable abilities, unless, you know, you straight up miss them yourself, and it's very difficult to do with his Slice and Dice being the width of a lane. Divine Judgment being an unmissable ultimate, taking off a huge chunk of health, a huge chunk of protections. At this point, with the way that Heartseeker is, the way the Crusher is, and Nemesis ult is taking a carry out of the fight completely. And in this day and age, you cannot be fighting 5 versus 4 in the late game. Nemesis just makes it a 5 versus 4. You get to late game with Nemesis and you don't win, you fucked up the team fights. Straight up. Evo, Cucullin, and Artio are going to be staying up in the S+ regions for now. Although, if any of them are going to be moving down, it would be Artio, just hasn't seen as much playtime as the other two. Cucullin has been played on support a lot more than I thought he would be. Seen it during Scrim, seen it during Ranked. Even saw a Cucullin support in the open brackets, I believe. Very strong pick right now. Hebo's still up there, still constantly being banned away, still being touted as the best jungler out there. I think he's on par with Nemesis right now. He stays up there as well. Most of these picks in S tier are staying where they are. Although Camazotz, much like Naja, just hasn't been seeing the playtime, just hasn't been seeing the pick rate that he needs to be warranting this S tier. I think he's still better than what most people think he is. I still think his flexibility into solo lane and into jungle makes him a key asset to a team. The prevalence of anti-healing, though, really does shut him down in that mid and that late game. Want to get into the fights, want to get your Vampire Bats off your Devour, use that sustain from your Vampirism passive to be as much of a nuisance in the fight as possible. And with Divine Ruin being as good as it is, Brawler's Beatstick being as prevalent as it is, a few teams starting to even build Toxic Blades every now and then, there's just not enough room for a character who wants to have as much sustain as possible in those fights to be as effective as possible. We'll look at anybody else in the S tier. Changes to Soul Gem. And it changes to Warlock Staff, changes to Book of the Dead. Janice's safety and Toth's safety really put them in a tremendous spot right now. They are both the top mages in the game. Both of them have their drawbacks, have their positives, but if you have the availability to pick one of them and the other one's banned out and you do not pick them, you are really severely limiting yourself in the picks and bans. You might win the early game because their early game push just isn't as strong as another characters would be, like for example an Arachne. But then comes the mid game, then comes the late game. These two characters just dominate proceedings, dominate the game, and you're just not going to be able to do much against them. Jingwei is another character that really should have been picked a lot more, I felt, during the open bracket. Tremendous safety, good synergy with crit, which is still a favorable build in the meta if you can build into it, like a Jingwei would do or an Artis would do. Just hasn't had the pick time, just hasn't had the success rate to stay up here. Going to be moving down to S-. Don't forget, if you have missed it, this will be going up on YouTube later. Or if you're watching on YouTube, hello, welcome to the channel. And that's going to complete the S tier characters for now. Hachiman still solidifies himself as one of the best hunters in the game. I still think he is absolutely tremendous and should be picked up on as many teams as possible. Moving on to the S- tier. A lot of these characters have seen quite a bit of success in the current meta. A lot of these characters have seen some changes. We have some items adjusted for Freya, and as subsequently she will be moving down as well. She has had her stats hit as well. Her passive has been toned down, so it no longer gives 15% off the bat. It starts off at 5% and works its way up to 15% at the beginning of the game. Typhon's Fang, giving slightly less power based on your lifesteal now, means that Freya isn't as relevant of a threat as she was before, especially in that early and mid game. In the late game, she's still the same old Freya, will still absolutely tear down your team. Still has good pressure in lane, but as we said before with Alquang and Anubis in the last video, anti-heal really hinders her ability to stay in the fights. She's going to be moving down to A+. A lot of the characters in this tier have not really been picked up as much as we suspected. We haven't seen many Medusas, we haven't seen many Hombatses, we haven't seen many Kabrakans or Matarasus. I think a lot of them aren't being picked up because the teams haven't got enough practice with them. But they still can't stay up in this tier if they just haven't been picked up as much as they should be. Medusa going to be moving down to A+. AMC going to be moving down to A. Discordia has been causing a lot of frustration right now in the pro scene for players. Has been picked up a hell of a lot in scrims. Almost 100% pick ban rate has been picked up a lot in the Smite Minor League in the open brackets. It's going to be staying here because if you speak to anybody, they will 100% say, yes, we prefer a Yanis, or yes, we prefer a Toth over this Discordia. And right now, that's going to complete it for your S- categories. If you're wondering why Kabrakan and Amaterasu haven't been moved down, their flex pick ability is absolutely insane. As with Hombats, his jungle clear isn't as great, but his control over team fights in their mid game and late game just means he is absolutely unbelievable to pick and will always fit onto every single team comp possible. He will stay in S-. Moving down to A+ tier. Again, a lot of these characters haven't seen playtime, just haven't been picked up whatsoever. Changes to Book of the Dead, and changes to Warlock Staff. They help out the Morrigan immensely. Having 10% less of a shield to go through means that the mages are no longer invulnerable to the Morrigan's bullshit in the late game. Now start to execute those mages again. Start to combo extremely well with gods like Darchi, gods like Athena, gods like Serket. Morrigan is in a really good spot right now. As such, we'll be moving up to S-. Fafnir just has not seen the playtime needed to keep him in this tier. Hasn't been picked up at all, I don't think, during the open bracket or during scrims, really. So he's going to be moving down to the A tier. I still think he has tremendous amounts of utility to offer a team. I still think he is one of the best support picks you can have, but the data just doesn't back it up. Raven and Raijin have been seeing some play, they have been seeing some success. Not as much as people were expecting to see out of them, given how prevalent they were at Season 4 Worlds and how the nerfs transpired out to be. A lot of people thought Raijin was in a good spot still, he was still playable, he was still a mid lane you wanted to pick early on in the draft. Hasn't transpired into that so far. He will stay in A+, as will Raven. 10% coming off, 10% damage mitigation coming off his ultimate isn't that impactful to him as a character. He has tremendous jungle clear, 9-second cooldown on Prana Onslaught, one of the fastest cooldowns that there is in the jungle. Means he's still relevant, especially with Morrigan being a prevalent pick in that mid lane. I'm thinking Hercules is going to be picked up a lot by North America today, especially. We're going to keep Hercules here for now. If he isn't picked up in the Smite Minor League today, he will be moving down in the next patch. But considering, again, like with Freya, and like with Ao Kuang and Anubis, anti-heal really limits his ability to tank into frontline effectively. But Izanami has not seen the picks, going to be moving down. Going to be actually moving down to A tier. I think she's in a very good spot still. Still think she has got a lot to offer the team in terms of her pick ability. Just hasn't been shown. She has good pressure, just doesn't have the self-peel like you do have with an Apollo, self-peel like you do have with an On-Her, self-peel like you have with a Jingwei. And that's why you see these characters being so more prevalent in picks and bans than it is an army, because they have that self-peel, they have that ability to bait teams around them. And that's going to do it for the changes to the A+ tier. Everyone else is going to be staying as put. As we move down to the A tier, we're going to be doing too many changes in the A tier today. A tier characters have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. The only thing we're really going to be doing is changing a couple of characters. The first one is going to be Scylla, who recently received a buff. 25 more magical power from her passive. It was 20, is it 20? Oh wait, she's got more magical power from her passive, 5% more scaling as well on top of that. Scylla's late game is absolutely monstrous right now. Her early game is helped out by the fact that Mage's Blessing is a good thing to buy on her. No longer is cucked by the mages similar to Morrigan because of the fact that Book of the Dead no longer rides such an insane shield. Sikkim is one of the best mage abilities in the game, especially during that late game fight. You get a 3-man route, the fight is officially over. Because that will half-health somebody and all our teammates around them as well. So like going to be moving up to A+. Still think you would have her on par with an Isis. You're looking for Isis for the early game and the early game objective control, looking for Scylla for that mid and late game teamfight control. Depending on what you want, you will pick one of these two characters. And that's really going to do it for the A tier. Everything else is going to be staying in place. A-, no changes needed here apart from Nox going to be moving up to A. Has had some success in the mid lane, has had some success in support. That flex pick ability is important for her. And she does do well against certain compositions, provided you have that Get banned out, provided you even have a Chiron banned out. Chiron has been proven to be a very effective counter to this Nox. Both those characters taken off the table, Nox is a very strong pick, especially if in that support role to garner that pressure. Everything else in A- tier going to be staying as is. B tier, again, no changes needed apart from Nuar moving up to A-. Book of the Dead being nerfed really helps her out in terms of her ultimate, doing tremendous damage in that late game team fight. And I think that she has a lot more to offer than a lot of people are giving her credit for. Still think she isn't going to be picked up as much, but she still offers that utility, still offers that stun, still offers that tank ability to the Gold Fury, to the Pyromancer, to the Fire Giant with her minions. You could hit those objectives a bit earlier than you would with other mages. One more change to do in this patch, onto this tier list, and then we're going to call it there. And that's going to be Arachne. Arachne's going to move up to C tier. No longer a D tier character. The changes to the webs mean you can do some pretty interesting things at the beginning of the game. Having 3 webs rather than 2 is... It's such what you think is a insignificant and minor change, but it can change a whole lot about the character. Your starts are limitless at this point. You put 3 webs down at your red side back harpies, do speed buff with your mid laner, go do your back harpies as well. You've taken 3 camps in the time they've taken 2, you're level 2, level 3 going into mid, and you've just got almost half a level, almost a level lead onto the enemy jungler because you've done something so different, so out there with your start. It's something that no other jungler can do. If you're creative with your webs of Arachne, if you're creative with how you start and how you play out that early game, Arachne can be an asset to the team. However, if you are playing against a team that knows you can do these starts, that knows you can do these sort of weird things at the beginning of the game, then that start from Arachne and then her snowball ability becomes non-existent. She'll have to look for ganks, have to look for early kills, which you're not really going to be getting too much of in that early game. Arachne's still staying down here with our Posh in the C tier, but no longer a D tier character. So, that's going to do it for us for this part of the tier list update. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.